Reducing pollution can be achieved in different ways, but which method is most cost-effective? Market-based strategies, like pollution taxes or cap-and-trade systems, create incentives for firms to find the least expensive way to cut emissions. In contrast, direct regulation sets specific limits, which can be less flexible and more costly. In this video, we'll compare these approaches, highlighting how each affects costs, efficiency, and outcomes.
In this video, I want to compare the societal cost to reduce pollution by a specific amount between if we use a direct regulation strategy to reduce that pollution or use a cap-and-trade system. What I want you to see is how a cap-and-trade system works to be able to reduce pollution cheaper than just a direct regulation. So a cap-and-trade system is a market-based system, and these market-based systems, like taxes or cap-and-trade, will be cheaper than direct regulation. All right, so in this table, we have 4 companies: U.S. Steel, Tesla, Walmart, Miami University. Before we do this direct regulation, every company is polluting 100 tons in carbon every year. And here I have the cost to reduce a ton of carbon or to abate a ton of carbon. Abate just means to do that reduction, right? So U.S. Steel is really expensive to reduce that pollution. It's $50 per ton. Tesla a little bit less, $30. Walmart's cheaper, $20. Miami, $10. So we have the lower cost pollution reduction to the higher cost pollution reduction firms. So in the case where the government is going to direct regulation, let's suppose that they want every firm to reduce pollution to 60 tons. There's going to be some law or regulation that says you have to reduce all your pollution by 60 tons down to 40 tons each. And so we're going to have a total reduction then of 240 tons of pollution from this regulation. If the firms each start with 100, they're reducing it by 60, then they're each going to be left with 40 tons of pollution at the end. Right? So we'll still have 400 in total, minus that 240 tons of reduction. And so this plan is going to leave us with 160 tons of pollution after this plan is implemented. All right, now we want to cost out this plan. Take out the 2. That shouldn't be a 2, that should be a by. Every firm has to reduce their pollution by 60 tons, down to 40 tons. All right, so we're going to be left with 160 tons of pollution. So let's cost this out. So U.S. Steel, they're going to reduce their pollution by 60 tons. It's going to cost them $50 per ton. And so we can just multiply 60 tons times $50, $3,000 for them to reduce that pollution. Tesla's got to reduce by 60 tons. It's going to cost them $30 to do each ton. And so Tesla is going to spend $1,800 to do that pollution reduction. Walmart reduced by 60, cost them 20. It's going to cost Walmart $1,200. Miami has to reduce by 60 at $10 per ton, cost Miami $600, right? So we can add up all these costs across all these firms for this pollution reduction. And so the total cost from this direct regulation is going to be $6,600, right? And so that's going to leave us with 160 tons of pollution, and we're getting a pollution reduction of 240 tons. That costs us $6,600. Okay, now I'm going to show you a cap and trade. We're going to do the same reduction that we have here to get down to 160 tons. And I'm going to show you that we can do it for a cheaper cost. All right, so for our cap and trade, we have the same starting part of this table where we have the firms, the carbon pollution prior to the scheme, 100 each, and then the same cost to reduce per firm. So suppose that the federal government is going to create a cap and trade system, and they want the final amount of pollution to be 160 tons. So they need to print off 160 permits. That's going to give us the same pollution reduction of 240 units of reduced pollution. And they're going to allocate them so that each firm gets 40 units of permits at the beginning before they're allowed to trade. Okay. So then we're going to allow the market to trade for these tradable pollution permits. And so we want to think about who's going to trade to get a permit and who's going to give one up. Okay. So first, let's think about who would rather reduce pollution and who would rather buy a permit. So U.S. Steel it's going to cost them $50 to reduce and get rid of a ton of pollution. So they're willing to pay for a permit that's a price that is at least up to $50. They'd be willing to pay $49, $48, $45, whatever, up to $50. Miami University, it only costs them $10 to reduce a ton of pollution. And so they're willing to sell a permit for any price greater than 10. All right? If they can sell a permit for 20, they'd get $20 back. They'd reduce their ton for $10, and they'd be left with that gain of $10, 20 minus 10. So they want to sell that permit. Okay? And so U.S. Steel will start off with their original 40, and then they're going to buy some permits. All right? They're going to buy all 40 of Miami's permits. Let's say at a price, let's just split the difference. Between 50 and 10, let's say $30, okay? Or $25 in between there. $30, doesn't matter. So that's going to be the going price for a permit. And so they're going to buy all of Miami's. So now Miami is left with 0. Walmart starts with their own 40 plus Miami's 40. Okay. All right, so now after this trading, pollution reduction after trading, Miami doesn't have any permits. They're not going to reduce, they're going to reduce pollution by the all 100 because they don't have any permits left. Okay, so now they're not polluting at all. They have to get rid of all their pollution. They will go from 100 down to 0. U.S. Steel is sitting at 80 permits, so they still have 20 more tons of pollution that they maybe want to buy permits for. Could they come to a deal with Walmart? U.S. Steel is willing to pay anything below 50. Walmart's willing to accept anything above 20. Yeah, they're going to sell. Okay, so Walmart is going to sell 20 permits to U.S. Steel. All right, so now U.S. Steel has 100 permits, and they don't have to reduce pollution at all. They got permits for all their 100 units of pollution. 40 plus 40 plus 20, it's going to be 100. They don't pollute at all. Okay, that means we'll come to the cost. Back to the cost. So Walmart sold 20. Could they come now to a deal with Tesla? Would they come to a price in between? Yeah, let's say a price of $25. Walmart has 20 permits left. They can sell them to Tesla at a price of $25. So now Walmart has 0 permits left. They sold 20 to U.S. Steel. Tesla starts with their own 40 permits plus the 20 they bought from Walmart. They have a total of 60. And so at the very end, if they only have 60 permits, they need to reduce their pollution by 40, 100 minus the 60 permits. Walmart is going to get rid of all their pollution because they have 0 permits left. Okay. All right, so this is the pollution reduction, and we want to trade that. We want to cost this out after we've traded all of our permits in this fashion. U.S. Steel spends nothing on reducing pollution because they don't reduce pollution at all. Tesla reduces pollution by 40 tons, and so we need to price that out at the $30 per ton for Tesla, and that will be $1,200. Walmart's going to reduce it by 100 tons, so 100 times $20 equals $2,000. Miami's going to reduce all their pollution, all 100 tons, at a price of $10, and that's going to cost $1,000. So if you add up all these costs, that total cost of that pollution reduction will be $4,200. To get that same pollution reduction down to 160 tons of pollution, we got down to there, costing only $4,200. Where when we did the direct regulation, where everyone has to do the same thing, all firms have to do the same thing, it cost us $6,600, right? And so this is way cheaper to do that. And the reason why it's way cheaper is look who's doing the pollution reduction. The vast majority of the pollution reduction is coming from the cheaper firms, Walmart and Miami. We have lower cost to do pollution reduction. A little bit of Tesla's doing it. We don't have U.S. Steel doing any. They're the most expensive. They don't do any pollution reduction. Tesla only does a little bit. Okay, so we've reallocated the pollution reduction using cap and trade to the cheaper firms to do it, and so we can get pollution reduction at a cheaper price.